Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cards of Diecast 4 channel. I want to thank you all for watching. This is going to be a special presentation of the 2007 Rittenhouse Archives Indy Car Series Premiere Edition. This is a very rare release to find, at least in terms of sealed boxes. It was a limited edition to begin with, and the reason why that is because when you take a look at this silver sticker right here at the front, you'll notice right there it says of 3,000, and what that of 3,000 means is that there are only 3,000 of these boxes made. Now, although this was the premiere edition for the Indy Car series in Rittenhouse, it should also pretty much say the finale edition, as this was the only time that Rittenhouse Archives produced racing cards for the Indy Car series. Now, if you don't know what Rittenhouse Archives is, it pretty much now, and as of 2019, focuses on sci-fi releases such as the X-Files and Star Trek. Like if you want a Leonard Nimoy autograph, that's usually where they've been getting made. I believe they used to have the James Bond license, but I think they stopped making those. So really that's the kind of genres that they stick to. They really don't go into the sports world. At one point, open wheel racing was the #1 form of motorsport here in the United States, but in '96 there was a fracture between the IRL and kart, and so you had during that split, and as it widened, NASCAR came in and took over, and that was pretty much all that she wrote. So even though this is mainly a NASCAR trading card showcase and break channel, we're going to deviate a little bit, although we do have our NASCAR connection right there on the cover, but we're going to be sticking with the Indy Car series. It's a pretty bland release, nothing too fancy, so there's really not going to be a whole lot for me to comment on. If you want to look at the pictures for all of these cards, I will post a link to my Flickr account where you actually can see the cards individual in clear photos. Because this is only a 3,000, in fact this box in particular was numbered 0957 of 3,000. Because these boxes sealed are so rare to find nowadays, believe me, I want to break this box open, and it's not going to be a box that's going to be worth $50,000 at some point in my lifetime, but I want to go ahead and keep the box sealed. So what I did is I went on eBay, and for the last couple weeks I've been saving up, and it's not very expensive to do. This is something that you want to do, at least in terms of getting the base set and the subsets that are in, but I went ahead and got every single base card, and I got all the subsets, and I already was in possession of all the autographs. So I have found a way to go ahead and keep this box sealed for you all, but in return you're going to be able to see every single card that you could possibly have gotten from this box right here. So anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the box though before we go ahead and put this thing up. The two top drivers that were being advertised at the time was Miss Danica Patrick, of course, and guys like Dan Wheldon over here, the late Dan Wheldon, unfortunately. So this is the front cover of the box, and what you will see here just behind the silver sticker, it does say 2 autographs per box, so they were quite generous with these boxes. However, when we take a look at the promo card, it actually says something different. Again, Danica is the main person that everybody's looking for. Here's a Danica Patrick autograph, which is something that we'll see later on in this video, and then Dan Wheldon again advertising 2 autographs inside. Front side again is featuring Danica's autograph again, this time with Dario Franchitti, again advertising 2 autographs per box. That was pretty much the only selling point for this release. There really isn't a whole lot else to find. And then again on the other side, Danica Patrick again, this time again with Dario Franchitti, who won the 2007 Indy 500, and that's significant because one of the subsets is all about that victory. Flipping the card to the back, it does say look for the A.J. Foyt 50th anniversary bonus cards. We do have that whole set along with the big hit at the end of the video. And we'll just go ahead and take a look quickly at the bottom of the box. The checklist itself is 54 cards in total, and it only consists of 18 drivers, so each driver has 3 cards to their baseline. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into the actual checklist itself. In fact, before we even get into that, this is one thing that Rittenhouse does do that's pretty neat, in that they allow you to gain possession of promo cards, where they essentially give you a trading card that is going to be similar to what will be released in the product. I know they do this with some of their Twilight Zone cards that they have out as of this video. The one thing I will say about this promo card, you do see here there is a little bit of a foil effect with Danica Patrick's name. That is not featured in any of the base cards. I wish they had done that with the actual base cards. But when we flip it around, because this is a promo card, it is just a card that advertises the upcoming release of the Indy Car series for Rittenhouse Archives. But when you notice, as we zoom in here, initially it looked like there was only going to be 1 autograph per box. So perhaps they had the intention of expanding the box number count production run, if you will. But looks like they scaled that back and just went ahead and went with 2 autographs per box. As I said, when you look at the cards themselves, it's not going to be a significant, very small checklist. Very small amount of drivers. There really wasn't a whole lot that you could actually produce, if you will, without just it being just completely obvious that there's just nothing to get there. So this was the promo card for the release. And now let's go to the actual checklist. First driver is going to be, of course, Danica Patrick. And this is her profile card in the studio form, I would say. And I believe the setup is that when we flip this card around, it's just going to give a little bit of a, I won't say demographics, if you will, not even so much a biography, just her birth date, height and weight, and the hometown that she was at and birth date. And Andretti Green Racing was what she was driving at the time. This is before the GoDaddy days. And here is the vehicle card for Danica, and it's almost a carbon copy on the back. Really just simplistic, no stats here on this deal. And then when it comes to the third and final card, this is kind of her at the track. It's not really a studio picture, if you understand what I mean. And when we flip it around, it's not really stats, but it does give you highlights. So at least there was some effort to be able to showcase some highlights with these cards here. So if you want to pause the video to read, again, you could go check out my Flickr if you want to see individual pictures. Next driver up is going to be Dan Wheldon. We're going to start going through these cards pretty quick because there's really just not a whole lot to comment. Plus, some of these drivers, I'm not too familiar with Indy Car racing. And there's, unfortunately for Dan Wheldon, he's no longer with us. He was killed in the 2011 finale at Las Vegas. You know, Las Vegas is simply just not a track that's designed for those Indy cars. They will just go too fast with all that banking. And when the big accident occurred, his vehicle was shot right up into the fence, and I believe he suffered some head damage, and that's how he died there. Third and final card for Dan Wheldon, again at the track. And there's some stats there, or highlights for the late great Dan Wheldon. So let's go ahead and start going through this a little bit quicker. Tony Kanaan for Andretti Green Racing. Here is his vehicle card. Close-up of the driver in the cockpit, and then the actual picture of the whole vehicle on the back. And then here we go with another profile card. I kind of like the track with the stats on the back. Scott Dixon, a multiple-time champion in the IRL. I believe he's still racing to this day. And this is back when Target was sponsoring the Indy Car series along eventually with NASCAR. And that's one thing that you don't see now. There's no more Target cars, as they have pulled out of motorsports entirely, I believe. Which is something that you'll notice here with these cards. A lot of the drivers here, even when some of their autograph hits that we'll showcase at the end of the video, some of these guys are just wearing just bland, straight off the rack uniforms with very little logos or anything else. This is for Vito Mira, and then we have the Vito Mira vehicle card for Panther Racing, and then we have our third and final Vito Mira card, profile card with the highlights on the back. Milka Duno, Of course, whenever the ladies would try to get into racing, whether you like to agree with it or not, Danica did break down some barriers, even if she was just a marketing machine. Whenever the ladies will get behind the wheel, there would be a little bit of buzz, and Milka did have some buzz with her. She carried some sponsorship from Citgo, but unfortunately she did not last. She did try to make a run in the ARCA series, to maybe make a NASCAR run, and I don't believe she fared very well in that. However, she didn't have her too much to be ashamed of, because a lot of the drivers, including Dario Franchitti, would try to do the NASCAR deal, which is another thing that killed open wheel racing. A lot of its top stars, like Sam Hornish, Juan Pablo Montoya, this is for Marco Andretti right here, and of course Danica, a lot of those drivers would actually just move on to NASCAR, leaving no big stars for the Indy Car series. Marco Andretti, here his vehicle card here, but for Milka Duna, again, she didn't really succeed very well. And then finally, the last card for Marco Andretti, profile card on the track with the stats on the back. Dario Franchitti is the next driver. He has his own subset that we'll take a look at here in a second. He scored the 2007 Indianapolis 500 for that year. It was rained out with about 20 laps to go, I believe. Big accident for Marco Andretti on the back. He actually flipped down the backstretch, I believe. Danica, I believe, finished 6th or 7th in the race. So she was a little bit good at the Indianapolis Raceway, but she was not able to pick up her victory there. I think she eventually won at Motegi the same day that it was announced that the kart would be folding up. In fact, if you try to watch the race, here's Thomas Schechter's hits, or base kart hits. If you watch the actual opening of that finale kart race, all they did was talk about Danica's victory in Japan that day. So not the best way for kart to close out its doors there. A vehicle card for Thomas Schechter in Vision Racing. And then we have again Thomas Schechter at the track with the highlights on the back. Scott Sharp, I think he may still be racing. Of course, I'm not too sure. I'm not too familiar with Indy Car racing. So if some of these drivers are retired or still racing, don't hold it against me. I do like the idea of showcasing this deal here. But at the same time, though, I will admit, if it wasn't for that Danica autograph in this box and perhaps the big hit at the end, I probably would just be passing on this. But because the boxes were so rare, and even that Danica autograph that we'll be showcasing at the end still gets around $100 or plus. So if you have one of those autographs and you need a quick buck, you actually probably could get yourself 3 digits for that card there. Here is Kazuki Matsura, another driver here. Who is he driving for? This is Super Aguri Panther Racing. And here is his vehicle card. And then when we flip the card around again, or rather pull the next card, and that's him at the track with the stats on the back. Ed Carpenter, who I believe won the 2018 Indianapolis 500. I'm not too sure. He was the car owner for Danica's last ride, which of course she crashed out in. So he might still be racing, or at least be racing in the Indy 500 still. Again, don't hold it against me if that's not the case anymore. Here's his vehicle card here. Again, just nothing. I mean, this is a very bland card, very bland release. I'm really not trying to bash this release too much, but I mean, it just doesn't, especially when you're used to, even Panini and all the cards nowadays, they don't have a lot of stats or highlights or anything else on the back. But this was just, I think this was really a test run for perhaps a bigger operation for Rittenhouse to maybe get themselves into some sports. But again, it just did not seem to work out. Buddy Rice here with his profile card. And then we have a car card or vehicle card here. And then the last card for Buddy Rice in a Red Bull hat. And so the next card here will be for Jeff Simmons, driver of the 17 vehicle. Vehicle card for Jeff Simmons. Again, very short checklist. Only 18 drivers and 54 cards. And then the final card here for Jeff Simmons at the track with some stats there for the back. Now, this will be the only driver who is featured in the base release or the base checklist and had cards made for the baseline, but does not have an autograph included in this release, and it is Marty Roth. Not sure exactly why. I don't know if they was able to get him on time. There are no redemptions with these boxes, so unless Rittenhouse did not include the 2 autographs in the box or is missing one due to error, if you are to pull one of these boxes and break it, you should be able to pull both autographs. As I said, there's no autographs or redemptions to have to worry about like you have with a lot of the modern releases here, so at least from that standpoint you get what you get. Here's Sarah Fisher. This is another lady driver. There was some promise with her, but I don't think that her career ended up anywhere near where she would have liked it to have been. I don't really know what's become of her. This is her vehicle card here. Flip it around, just really just nothing but a symbol. Not even, you know, like the top speeds or anything else like that. No stats, which is really a shame, but that's typical of a lot of modern sports now. Card makers, they just don't include any stats. I don't know if it's a price deal. I don't know if it's just something that's archaic and yet nobody really cares, but it is what it is. Here is AJ Foyt the fourth, not the man, but the fourth. This is his profile card here. Vehicle card for AJ Foyt the fourth, not the man. The only thing I really remember about this guy is that I remember watching his video where he got the Great Clip sponsorship. I think he may have tried NASCAR. I could be mistaken as well. But regardless, I don't even know if he's still driving or not. And here is Darren Manning. Flip that card around for him. And I believe this is actually the last driver for the baseline. Flip him around, driving for AJ Foyt Racing, and indeed he is. This is the last base card for the 2007 Rittenhouse Archives Indy Car Series line. So there you go. Now you have all 54 base cards. As I said, not anything that is of great significance, no true value, even with the Danica and Dan Wheldon hits. Really, if you're wanting value from this, you're going to have to go for the autographs, which do have some rarity because, as I said, as far as I know, there has been no other major release to this caliber for Indy Car racing alone. In 2011, and I think some with a lot of their Press Pass Legends lines, Press Pass did include Indy Car drivers and Mario Andretti and the like, but there was no exclusive Indy Car autograph or rather a trading card release. So this was might be the last one that has been released. So now anyway, here we go. This is the Shades of Victory subset. It's one of 3 subsets that we'll be showcasing, and really, honest guys, it's just nothing but the drivers in a black and white card with just sunglasses on. That's all that it is. And when we flip the card around, I'm telling you, it looks no different pretty much. And that's all that it is. For Danica Patrick, she starts off this list. Again, it's just about wearing sunglasses. Here's Dan Wheldon. All the cards are, like I said, black and white. And some of them featured a driver wearing sunglasses on the back, and some don't. Kind of defeats the purpose there. Dario Franchitti is the next driver in line. This is number 3 of 9 on the checklist. Next driver will be Tony Kanaan. Tony Kanaan, flip him around, double sunglass pose right there for him. And then we have Vito Mira. And then on the back we have a rehash picture of the at the track profile card from his base card. Scott Dixon. Nothing much else to say there. We got Buddy Rice again. Wearing a hat even though he has a full head of hair. And then he has Marco Andretti. The next card, Just really nothing else to say. I'm trying to think of something to say, but there's nothing else there. AJ Foyt, and this will conclude our 9-card subset of the Shades of Victory. The next subset will be about Dario Franchitti, and it will conclude in our first numbered hit. This set here consists of 9 cards outside of the numbered card, and this is pretty much the road to victory, and it just has various pictures of Dario Franchitti in the 2007 weeks leading up to the race and the race itself. And in the front it just says 2007 Indianapolis 500 champion. That's what all of them say. These cards in particular, these 9 cards I'm going to showcase right now, are not numbered, but will conclude in a numbered card. And so when we flip the card around, you will notice that it doesn't really seem to have, maybe that's a piece of the track, I'm not sure, but when we put it all together, when we get all 9 cards, I'll showcase what tries to show or set up a little bit of a collage here. So that's what we'll end up doing. Here is a picture of Dario Franchitti in the car itself, putting his fire suit protection on, and again, it's just a piece. It starts forming a puzzle that creates a whole picture there, and that's what these cards are designed to do. Here's a car card, if you will, or vehicle card, and again, when we flip it around, it just has some scenery on the back. Here's Dario Franchitti getting out of the pits, and there you can start seeing a little bit of a logo, and now you're starting to see what it's starting to develop into. Another pit road card for Dario Franchitti. Again, there's no difference in what the front says there. And there you go. It's starting to form a logo of the Indianapolis 500 for the 2007 season. Here is a picture of Dario racing. And then, as I said, the race did end with about 20 laps to go, I believe. There's a picture of Dario with the, I'm not sure exactly what you call that wreath there around his neck. And finally, we get a picture of a celebrity. For those of you who don't know, can you see it? Can you identify her? Well, Dario Franchitti at the time was married to Miss Ashley Judd. And so they made sure to have a card featuring her. And they are no longer married as far as I know, but attaboy, Dario, you did yourself good, at least for a short term. And then the final card in the set is Dario in victory lane with the traditional glass of milk. Although I do remember one year, like, some driver won the Indy 500, you can leave in the comments below who that driver was, and demanded to drink orange juice because I think they owned some sort of a orange farm or something like that, so they wanted to utilize that time to advertise their farm out. And so let's go ahead and take a quick picture here of what all those 9 cards, when you flip them around on the back and put the set together, this is what the picture ends up being. Just pretty much a picture of Dario Franchitti in various poses and moments with the Indianapolis 500 logo. So now we are featuring our very first numbered card, and this is how it came straight out of the box. It features a silver seal sticker, or not a silver, but rather a gold seal sticker from Rittenhouse Archives. It says Rittenhouse Authentic Archives Ltd. Limited edition, if you will. The thing about this, though, is that I don't know if Rittenhouse does this with all their special edition cards, or if this is just Indy Car racing and who cares. But they did not include a Mylar sleeve for this card. They just stuck it right in the top loader, put the sticker on it, and then ran off with it. So anyway, again, this may not seem like much, but if you're somebody like me who likes to grade, that actually counts for something, because it actually could damage the card surface. This is 134 of 500. Again, this is our first numbered card. No 1 of 1s or 1 out of 10 or anything else like that. They're all numbered out of 500. However, at least they are sequentially numbered. Now, when I say that we're going to be showcasing everything from this box, I mean everything. We've seen the box, and I actually have an empty wrapper here, so now you get to even see what the wrapper would have looked like. had you been able to pull one of these on by hand. As far as I know, there were no blaster box versions or anything like that. It was just strictly hobby. So if you found a box, that's pretty much all that this release would give you. It did feature 4 cards per pack. It does say look for, if you could read it, look for randomly inserted autograph cards. Again, Indy Car Series Premier Edition trading cards. Unfortunately, it was also the finale. When we flipped the card around, this is what it looks like. Kind of hard to look like with the reflection and whatnot. But sci-fi hobby again.com is actually the website. It's not even like RittenhouseArchives.com. It's sci-fi hobby. So really, again, this was a deviation for Rittenhouse to get themselves into. But overall, though, I'm actually glad that Rittenhouse did at least give an opportunity for Indy Car to have its own release. And so now let's go ahead and take a look at the final subset that will be featured in this video. And it is going to feature a 9-card set featuring AJ Foyt, who at the time, this was 50 years in 2007. And so it's now 2019 as of this video, so it's technically now been 62 years in racing. But at 2007, it was all about AJ Foyt and his 50 years of racing at Indianapolis. So let's go ahead and start off with card number 1 in the checklist, and it's the 1958 Indy Newcomer. And when you look at this card here, ladies and gentlemen, the only thing I could say is that you had to have a big set of balls in order to drive one of these things. Just look at the classic crashes from these crashes at Indianapolis, and I mean, it looks like small atomic bombs have gone off, just plumes of billowing black smoke stories high, just killing fans, killing drivers. This was certainly a time where death was not something to be prevented, but rather to be expected. So back when men were men, I guess. 10 of 500 is the stamped number for this particular card here. Card number 1 in the checklist. All of these cards are numbered out of 5 up to 500. 1961 Indianapolis 500 Championship. So I'm presuming that this was AJ Foyt's first victory in the Indy 500. 152 of 500, and that's the celebration card for that. 1961 Indy 500 champion again. This is a studio card, or rather a PR photo, if you will, for the Indianapolis 500 1961, and it's champion AJ Foyt again, 152 of 500. 1964 Indianapolis 500 champion. As you can see, now we're starting to get more of the just in those few years, the cars are starting to change. And it's actually quite sad. I'm sure as the prices increased, you know, this was a time where someone like AJ Foyt could get into it who wasn't a rich person, as far as I know. In fact, I believe he's quoted as saying, you know, how would you get into racing today? And he said, I wouldn't be able to. It's too damn expensive. And that's what's killing the racing industry more than anything, in my belief. Not just NASCAR, but IndyCar, everything. It costs too damn much to get a steering wheel in your hand. 1964 Indianapolis 500 champion again. Here's a PR, if you will, public relations photo. Flipping the card around again, 152 of 500, and this is for card number 5 of 9. And this is 1967 now Indianapolis 500 champion. A celebration right there with the wreath around it. And now you get to see a little bit more of the advancement. They're starting to get slimmer, starting to have more of a faster appeal. 152 of 500 again for card number 6 of 9. And then here we go, the 1977 Indianapolis 500 champion, and now it's really starting to look almost like a Formula One car more than the actual Indy cars. But this is has a lot more of a modern look, something I'd certainly be able to recognize. 152 of 500 for the 1977 Indianapolis 500 champion. And now here we go with the 1999 Indianapolis 500 winning team owner. So now it celebrates not only Indianapolis 500 victories for AJ himself, but now as a team owner. And if you guys know, leave in the comments below what Power Team was. I remember in the NASCAR world, Joe Bessie in the Busch Series and Jeffrey Bodine in 2000 in the Cup Series was sponsored by Power Team, but I don't even know exactly what that is. So I don't know if that was the last thing I was able to read, like it was some sort of a religious organization, but I could be wrong. But again, 152 of 500 with the power team and AJ Foyt going to victory. And then finally, Indy Car Series team owner, just in general, for AJ Foyt, still racing at Indianapolis as of 2007. I'm pretty sure he's doing it still as of 2019. 152 500 for that. So that is the complete checklist for the base, the subsets, and the numbered subset for the 2007 Rittenhouse archives. And now let's go into the main event, where we showcase the 18 autographs, all featuring the active drivers who signed autographs at the time and the one big hit at the very end. No particular order, I'm making this up. Of course, we'll save the Danica and the Wheldon for last. But here we go. We're going to start off with Darren Manning. One thing you'll notice about all these autographs, these are all graded by PSA. Now, if you're someone who likes to get these cards graded, don't expect good grades in return. The condition of the stock that these cards were made of were very cheap. A lot of chipping around, especially when you have a card with a lot of black on the borders. If there's chipping, you know, that specky white stuff all over the place, is going to cause the grade of the card to go low. However, all these cards are graded, and as of this video, I believe this is the only complete graded card, autograph card set for the 2007 Rittenhouse Archives Indy Car Series. So this is actually a little bit of a special deal. You're not just looking at the autographs themselves, you're actually looking at the entire autograph set in graded form. Here is Kazuki Matsura. This has got a near mint 7. Again, the grades are pretty much going to be between 6 and 8. You're not going to really see very high grades for any of these cards here. That it just really wasn't very good condition, these cards. AJ Foyt. This, in fact, got a very poor grade. This got an excellent to mint 6. But I still want these cards graded nonetheless, because I like my cards to stand out. I like maximum protection. And considering how, even though these cards did not have the best grades, even though this one did get a good grade, mint 9 for Tomas Schechter, this actually is a very unique set here. It's the only completed graded set. And considering how the expense and the time delays that are out there with PSA, this might very well be the only set that ever does get graded completely. Victor Mira, and this got a near mint 7. Flip the card around here, and that will do it for Victor Mira. Here we have Buddy Rice, and a very poor autograph. Looks nothing like Buddy and looks nothing like Rice. I'm not sure exactly. Maybe he has an injury, maybe he has a learning disability, I don't know. Excellent and mint 6, and probably because that shitty autograph right there, I can understand why he got this grade. Nonetheless, Buddy Rice and his autograph. Here we go now with Miss Sarah Fisher. In her profile card, if you remember, she did have some logos, but unfortunately in this instance, it looks like that sponsorship must have just been for a one-race deal. But there was some promise for her, as I said, but I don't think it panned out. Got the near mint 7 for Sarah Fisher's autograph and her inclusion in the 2007 Rittenhouse Archives. Again, 2 autographs per box if you choose to get these cards sealed. But just at this point, these cards are not terribly expensive if you're able to get them open market. I know with some of the buy it now prices, it might be a little steep, but it's not that expensive. The biggest one that you're going to have to get in terms of price will be Danica, as that card could still fetch you over $100 if you ever get that card. Mint 9 though, this is one of the better graded ones for Milka Duno. Again, there was some promise for her as well, but that did not work out either. Jeff Simmons and his inclusion. This got the near mint 7 grade. Flip the card around, and there you go for Ray Hall Letterman. I think that was Danica's old card, wasn't it? That was the number 7, wasn't it? I believe so. So Ed Carpenter here, who I know was the car owner for Danica's last ride, speaking of her, and I think he actually won the Indy 500 that race. 2018, again, I could be mistaken there, for Vision Racing at the time. Marco Andretti, sponsored by the New York Stock Exchange of all things. And again, what is that of a signature? I know Mario Andretti has, like, you know, his is almost illegible as well, but this here is just not, I don't know. Near Mint 8 for Marco Andretti. Flip the card around. There you go for the back of that autograph. Tony Kanaan. I've seen a bunch of his autographs around. In fact, sometimes you might be able to buy batches of his autograph, like literally 30 in one auction. Because I think that, again, when Danica hit the NASCAR scene, a lot of those boxes that I showed you at the beginning of the video here, they were consumed trying to bust out her autographs. So I'm having a feeling that a lot of Tony Kanaan autographs were pulled, and you could still to this day be able to find batches of his autograph for sale. Scott Sharp, it's got the Mint 9 grade, so a very solid grade for that. There has been some Gem Mint 10, so it's not impossible, but for the most part it's going to be difficult to get anything above an 8 in my opinion. Really, if you're going to send these cards out to get graded, first off, it's pretty expensive nowadays. I wouldn't even bother with it. The only card I would try to get graded would be either Danica or the big AJ Foyt hit that we'll showcase at the end. Beyond that, though, even if you like seeing these cards in graded form, even though they didn't get the best grade, again, here's another Mint 7 for Scott Dixon. I would just leave it. It's just really not worth it at this point. Turnaround times are too slow and it's too expensive to grade cards. Dario Franchitti, again, the 2007 champion of the Indy 500 that year, near Mint 8 for Andretti Green Racing. Congratulations on the Ashley Judd conquest. And then here is the late great Dan Wheldon. I do believe somewhere out there is a Gem Mint 10 autograph for this guy here. So if you ever see it on eBay, I would go ahead and pounce on it, because I do believe it's the only one that's out there that's like that. There may be another one out there, but I know for a fact, I'm pretty sure there is one out there still in Gem Mint 10 form for Dan Wheldon, who unfortunately lost his life again in the 2011 finale. And then, whether you like it or not, here's the marketing queen, Danica Patrick. And even then, I wasn't able to get a Gem Mint 10 for it. At least it got an 8. I'm willing to settle for 8s in a lot of these cases for this type of card. Near Mint 8 for Danica Patrick, but she was the big reason why a lot of people bust out those cards there, as I said, because they wanted to seal up her autograph when she went over to NASCAR. And then finally, this is the real home run autograph, and boy, was it a home run autograph. In modern day, a lot of the trading card companies will have yourself a case hit, if you will. Well, this here was a triple case hit. It was advertised that if you bought 3 cases of the 2007 Rittenhouse archives, and as you could see, 3 cases is overkill when it comes to set building or anything else like that. Really, the only reason why you want to buy that many cases is because you want to get every single autograph. But when it comes to the actual base checklist itself, as we just saw, it's a very small deal. You'd have like 20 of them after 3 cases, it seems. But this was a case topper for every 3 cases that were sold. Now, there's only 500 of these autographs, celebrating AJ Foyt's 50th anniversary. This is the ungraded version that I have. Again, like the Dario Franchitti numbered card, it was just put into the top loader with no Mylar sleeve whatsoever. And the sealed sticker, the gold seal sticker, was placed upon it, and then that was it. And I believe if you shake it around, there you go, it can move around, which is something that I don't really care too much for. But again, this was a case topper autograph, found 1 in every 3 cases. It is not stamped out of 500, but it is being advertised as limited edition to 500. But that's not it, ladies and gentlemen. As I told you, this is a complete graded set. I used to have 3 of these, and I sent all 3 of them in. 2 of them got 9s. I have since sold them off, but one of them did come back, a Gem Mint 10. Very happy to have this card here for the great AJ Foyt in Gem Mint 10 condition from PSA. Absolutely fantastic card and a great way to end this video. This has been the Cards to Diecast For channel. I want to thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video, you open wheel racing fans, as I brought you back to the year of 2007 and the solo year release for the 2007 Rittenhouse Indy Car Series release. Again, Cards to Diecast For channel. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe. And with that said, though, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you all later.